on this little ride here. I'm up here in Wisconsin. I'm headed to Arcadia. Arcadia, Wisconsin. And I'm dropping off at Ashley Furniture. And actually right now what I'm doing is I'm just recording on my phone. Wouldn't be able to do any live recordings in this area. I don't have cell service, but I decided that I would record this portion of my ride here because scenery, it looks all right. Fall season has arrived, and so you see a bunch of colors on the trees now, and I think that it's I do find it rather nice to look at. It's pretty. Yeah, I do like the fall season because of the transition that the trees are going through. But I'm not a fan of the colder weather. I know that winter's is right around the corner now. And I'm just now dreading the winter. Just dreading the winter. I tell you, the best time of the year that I like is springtime. I like springtime because it's not too hot and it's not too cold, and I just like the way that the sun shines off everything during the springtime, and also everything is starting to come to life. I like life, so everything's coming to life during the springtime, and that's why I like springtime, But I do like fall too, but not as much as springtime, But I thought I would just have the camera rolling during that time that I was going through all those trees and everything, because it's a nice drive, For me, I don't know about how you feel about it, but for me, I don't know. It's just something about just seeing something about seeing it just makes me, I don't know, it gives me some peace and some joy, But also, these winding roads. I enjoy driving these windy roads. Just zigzagging across, and I'm doing this in a truck. It gives me something. It gives me a little bit of excitement. I happen to go through all these hills and winding roads and stuff like that. And the best part is, I don't have anybody out here in my way. I don't have. I don't necessarily have to worry about anybody being around and stuff like that. This is all farm country out here, so you're not going to get all the hustle and bustle of the busy streets and stuff like that. So I really do enjoy this when I get to and another thing too is that I love driving these rural country roads, because there is nobody out here, you know, and it's just there's a peace. There's a peace that I feel when I'm out of the city. You know, when all these people are not around. You know, when you get out of it's a whole different feeling. It's a whole different peace. And when you think about what's in the city, I mean, of course, you got a lot of people in the city. You got a lot of noise in the city, a lot of different noises. You know, you got all these different distractions. You got, you know, we're living in a world of technology, right? And so everything is attached to a computer and electricity. And all of these things, when you think about it, all of these things is energy. Okay? It's energy. And what I like about being out here, you know, out here, and what makes it so peaceful is that all that stuff that's in the city that I just mentioned, it causes stress. Now, if you're there, you know, if you're in that environment long enough, you kind of, I guess you can, at least in my case, I kind of, you know, I guess I get numb to it, and I start to not realize so much, you know, how energetic the cities are, and you know that there's some stress and there's some frustration and stuff like that that I don't notice that I don't notice a lot of times that I feel until I get out to some place like this, you know, where there's not as many people out here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we still got electricity and computers and all that kind of stuff out here in this area too, but it's far and in between out here, and it's just a whole nother energy. And once you get out here and once you realize that you're out here, it's a whole different type of energy. For me, it's just a whole new, it's just a whole new environment. It's a whole new change for me, where I don't feel a lot of the tension, and you know, I'm not bombarded by, you know, the stressors that I can't see. And what I mean by the stressors that I cannot see, I'm talking about all of the electromagnetic energy that fills the environment of a well-populated city. See, and I don't realize, you know, I don't realize that this has an effect on me until I get out in the, what I call out in the open. You know, like I can't explain the type of peace that I have right now. But just looking at the trees and the mountains and the landscape and stuff like that, and just zigzagging on the roads here, you know, it's a whole new energy for me. And, you know, well, there are times where I notice that I have some agitation. You know, there are some times where, you know, I don't know, I wouldn't say upset really, but maybe it is maybe it is a little bit of upsettedness. But it's definitely tension, definitely stress and stuff like that. And sometimes I can recognize it because it's like, and I think it might be other people that I'm sure that other people are feel the same way. Maybe people think of it as something else, but when you get to thinking about it, it's really about the environment that you're in. The type of food that you eat, and then you're constantly sitting around a TV or a computer, or you're around something that uses electricity. You got all these Wi-Fi signals and radio signals and whatever else kind of signals that are just going through the air, going through your body, and it does affect your body. It affects your mind. And most people don't think about that kind of stuff. They don't think about it, and probably don't even know the impact that your body, the impacts that your body goes through from all of the different radio frequencies and things like that, that are near and go through your body. But yeah, and then that does create within you that does have the potential to create negative energy that you also often radiate out into the environment. So I mean, you're like a you're like a radio tower, beaming off a signal. So it's starting to get a little foggy. But I notice it. I mean, because the way that I notice that I'm rather in an uptight mood is that just noises in particular would cause me to start thinking something to say kind of negative or whatever. Like if I hear a car horn or something like that, let's just say that this is how I start to notice that I'm not in the best of moods. I mean, you can have somebody just drive by, and I'm like, the hell you over here honking your horn for? Shut up. That's how I can notice that I don't seem to be in the best of moods. And that's coming from being in an environment where there's lots of people, and with lots of people, there's people can't live without their technology and all of their up to date fangle dangle stuffs. So all of that stuff creates a complex environment. But I noticed for me is that I enjoy TV and the computer and stuff like that, just like a lot of us do, But I just can't handle being in an environment all the time. It's all the time where there's a lot of tension, and you're just in an area where it's concentrated with a bunch of TV and radio and other electrical interferences, because it does have an effect on your body. so I often think that if money wasn't an issue, you know, I would get me a place, probably buy my own land, you know. That's what I would like to do, is I'd like to buy my own land out in the middle of nowhere, you know. I wouldn't say out in the middle of nowhere, but at least out away from people. And, you know, custom build a house, you know, out there so that I can live in peace, you know. I don't have to be in a city. I prefer not to be inside of a large city. I come from San Diego, which is a large city, and you know, I got tired of you know, just being in a large city like that. I can deal with something like this. I mean, if I was to just stop, you know, if I was just to pull over right now and just roll the windows down, that's something else too. You roll the windows down and there'd be just this different kind of peace out here. You know what I'm saying? It's relatively quiet. You know, I mean, yeah, you're going to hear cars going by every once in a while, but it's relatively quiet, and you don't really have to worry too much about, you know, people trying to do anything to you, things of that nature. But yeah, it's. I think that is just one of the big perks of being out in a place. And, you know, space. That's another thing too. Space. I mean, look at how open this area is. You know, I mean, just its openness. There's space. There's room. You don't feel crunched all the time. You know. So there's lots and lots of room, and that can also create tension. When you constantly feel clustered, you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm in this truck most of the time. You know, I don't feel clustered up in here in this truck all the time, although I do want to get out, and I need to get out of the truck more often. But I don't feel clustered up in here though. It's more of being outside. It's more about what's going on outside. You know, I'm learning to be, I guess, what do you call it? I'm learning to understand or acknowledge when my body is different, you know? I didn't always do that before. But now, you know, now I'm starting to get into it, you know, especially what I was talking about just a little while ago, about the energy and stuff like that, where you feel a change. So while I'm out here, and I'm a generally happy person, even when I'm in the you know, in the cities, you know, I'm still a generally happy person. But I don't think that negative energy really affects my happy-go-lucky, you know, characteristic. I don't think that it really affects it at all, but I do feel a change. But anyways, I think that I like it. I think that it's good to get out here and just feel free. Yeah. I didn't like being inside of a building all the time. You know, being in a cubicle. It was just like, for me, being inside of a cubicle, you know, handling the phone system or just being on the computer and stuff like that. After a while, it's just like, I can't do this no more. And I started thinking about, well, when I was you know, working inside a building all the time, sitting in a cubicle, I started to daydream about, you know, actually being out, you know, outside. And I guess that stems from you know, from being, or from childhood. You know, I grew up at a time where we didn't always like to stay in the indoors. Actually, you know, my generation is, I call it the bridge generation. Because it was around the time when I was growing up that things started changing. They started morphing into what we have now.
In 5 miles, turn right to exit 4 I-90 East, Minnesota 3 North.
You know, I grew up at a time where there wasn't too many. Well, you know, the video games, the home constellation. What do you call them? Console version of the video games were just starting to become available to the general public. You know, that's the time that I grew up in, and so we generally wanted to be outside. You know, we wanted to go out and do things and go places and stuff like that. But it was during our time where we were starting to get exposed to, you know, these home consoles. You know, prior to these game consoles at home, if you wanted to go play video games, you had to go to the arcade. You know, and I remember that there was one arcade that was maybe a few miles away from where I lived. Yeah, I'd say about probably maybe 5 miles away from where I lived. And it was called Ray's Arcade. And I didn't have very much money at the time. But every once in a while, I would, you know, me and a couple of friends, we would sometimes go to Ray's Arcade, you know, and we'd play the games. But we were the kind of people that we were always outside every day. Every day, we was outside playing together or doing something. You know, but we was always outside. Every day we saw each other. And we didn't stay in the house too long. You know, for us, staying inside the house was kind of like, you know, torture for us. You know, especially when you saw all your friends outside, you wanted to go out there too. But you had to stay in the house, or you had to go and do some work or something, you know?
In 2 miles, turn right to exit 4.
So it's still with me today. You know, where I got tired of staying inside all the time, and I wanted to get out. But I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to have to be outside all the time in all of the elements. If I was going to be outside, I didn't want to be outside where it's too cold or where it's always raining and all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. Or like it's too hot or something like that.
In 1 mile, turn right 2.
So I didn't really know what I wanted to do that was going to allow me to be, it's going to allow me to be outside and do different things and roam. I knew that much that I wanted to go out and roam. I wanted to go and I also wanted to go and travel and stuff like that. But I didn't know what I wanted to do that, what I could do to fulfill that. And so, I just kept on doing what I was doing.
Turn right 2, exit 4, I-90 East, Minnesota 4, 3 North, and would cross.
All right. But eventually, an opportunity came up.
In a 1/4 mile, continue on 2.
An opportunity had come up to drive a truck. And I took it. I took that opportunity. And ever since then, I've been enjoying it because I can be outside. Well, really, yeah, I can be outside. But this truck is like a bubble to me. Because I never have to worry about it being too hot, too cold. I'm not getting rained on, snowed on. I can keep the temperature, I can keep the climate pretty steady
2 miles, take exit.
inside this truck. But yet I can be outside, I can look out my window and I can just enjoy the scenery. And that's one of the big things that, that's one of the big things that I wanted was, I just needed to see different things over time. I didn't want to have to stare at the same old things over and over again, So, but yeah, being out here is pretty peaceful, and I like this area. Only thing is that it's too cold up here. For me, it's too cold up here. If it wasn't for being too damn cold up here, I'd probably, this would be a good place, for me to get, for me to, settle down at. Because I don't have to be so close in proximity to people, and it's not like that I don't like being around people. That's not the case at all. I enjoy being around people. But I'm just not the kind of person that needs to be around people so close to me all the time, I can't even stand somebody standing close to me at the
exit 250.
I can't even stand anybody standing next to me at the grocery store for too long. Unless it would be my significant other or something like that.
1/4 mile.
I don't mind that, having my close, a few close family members and friends. I don't mind that at all. But just to have people, all the time, close by me, to me, it's draining. And I might not know that it's draining. I might not know that it's draining all the time until I get away. But I get a real good recharge when I'm, away from a lot of people. But anyways, I'm about ready to. This video is about to stop. My phone's gonna stop recording here in just a little bit. But I just figured that I would show you some landscape, and then just randomly talk about anything. So I'll come back later on with something else. But later.